Hello everyone, this is SavageCast, and I'm here with my buddy Dale, also known as Iron Defense Dale. We're going to be talking a lot about just video game politics technically, but but we're going to be talking a lot about just video games in general, how they're treated tournament-wise, the industry failing as it is currently. Anyways, how's it going, Dale? Long time no
It's
see. I haven't seen your magnificent face in forever.
it's going great. It's going absolutely great. I look forward to talking about this. I've been hyped about this. Got a lot to talk about.
Awesome, awesome. So, in fact, since you're the new guest, I always have to ask questions. Who are you? How are you? Where are you from? What do you do? How's it going, Dale?
Okay, well let's start here. I just started out as a viewer. I don't even remember how I ended up finding the channel. Some probably a dead channel by this point. Just found it, stuck around because the community's amazing. You are hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
Um, and I'm just a viewer that just stuck around, I guess, for all the years.
That's fair. That's fair. So, do you like there's going to be a new question that I ask for every guest that comes on here. What
Okay.
games did you grow up with?
What games that I grow up with? The first game that I remember actually sitting down and playing was Super Mario Bros. On the SNES. It was
Based. I like it.
that was the game. I must have been
Mad
like
respect.
four or five. Like I watched my dad play it. He was pretty good at it, and then he said, "Okay, you can play it if you want." And we did. I wasn't very good at it. I did the first level over and over again because I didn't know how to like progress. Even though I beat it, I just kept doing the first level over and over again and loved it.
It's
It was a good
amazing what
time.
a child can be satisfied by.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It's incredible. Just doing the same thing over and over. That like repetitiveness feels rewarding.
Now, if only us adults could enjoy that. I mean, some of us can, but not every one of us, unfortunately.
Exactly. Always need to have a little bit of something different to keep us satisfied.
Yeah, I'll get burned out like after 3 weeks of doing something like, man, I want to do something else now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the ADD or the autism or just me being like, oh, this is boring. This blows. I want to do something else now.
But I think that's what makes a game good or bad.
Oh yes,
Like
no, precisely. In fact,
like
let's move on to game design, why don't we? So Dale, what is your favorite game of the decade so far? I know it's a bit of
favorite
an ask, but released between
decade.
2020 and 2023, what's your favorite game of the decade so far?
Let's see. That was 2013. I won't remember a lot of because I wasn't really a gamer.
Oh no,
Like
I mean 2020, like this decade, the
oh
2020s.
this decade, 3 years. Okay.
Much easier.
Um. Yeah. So let's say 2013. I don't remember crap. Um. Oh man, there's some good ones. The game that I always go back to continually. Like I've played it since 2018. I know that's not like a new game, but it's still existing with new content. The game that continues to evolve that I go back to every single year is Warframe. I always go back to it.
Is that the better Destiny?
Absolutely. I love it
Yeah.
when people describe that as the better
The better,
Destiny.
yeah, no, I've heard of that. I've heard it's pretty good if you like those kinds of games.
Yeah.
I thought Dale was gonna say Fortnite for a second. Nah,
No,
Fortnite's
no, no,
dead.
no, 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 no.
Fortnite's dead, bro.
Um, I think the beauty of game design, like a Warframe, is when it can put out content repeatedly, either through a DLC or free. In Warframe's case, it's free, but that satisfies the need to play more of the game and can draw in new players as well as get existing ones back playing it. That's really studios that can do that.
Oh yeah, no,
They
exactly.
crush it.
If you keep the engagement of your players, you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to lose them. The problem is with like, your Diablos and what have you and your Destinies,
Oh my,
especially with Destiny literally gouging their fans every other month. You're
it's
going to lose your
disgusting.
viewership and your not viewership. Thinking this is a Twitch channel. Your playership, your player base, you're going to lose that, and it's just going to decrease over time because it's going to decay because no one wants to pay $20 every other month just to get the cool thing. And oh, you can't get the cool thing anymore because you weren't there 2 years ago. Oh yeah, my Sean, the guy that came up here last time, he dug into Destiny about that. Destiny has a lot of problems with that kind of stuff where, oh, you weren't at this XYZ event 3 years ago. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get this overpowered tool or what have you. It's just like up yours. That's how they treat their fans.
And it also doesn't help that all of their DLCs are paid.
Yes. No, precisely. It's a
All of
giant
them are
scam.
paid. Like the last one that came out was not only overpriced, but it was poorly made and buggy. Which, if it was free, poorly made and buggy, people would still complain about it. But the fact that it was not cheap, and then there's a battle pass on top of that, and then
It's just
there's
money hungry.
it's beyond money hungry. It's disgusting. They
Oh, I agree.
deserve to fail because of their practices. They don't deserve any good thing if they just continue on that. When there are actual good ways of getting, like, one of the comparisons to Destiny is Warframe because they have similar gameplay
Yeah.
in how they operate. They're both like looter RPG.
Yeah, looter shooters essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. They're both in that vein of game, but they tend to, like, Warframe's free. You can jump into it for free. You can choose to never pay them a cent.
Yeah.
And
It's free to play.
if you need the premium currency, you can farm for an item that you can trade to someone for the premium currency.
Okay,
You don't
that's
have
pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
So they have ways, because they actually know what they're doing. They have ways of getting a free to play player the stuff that isn't free, with the exception of cosmetics. Some cosmetics you need to pay for, but
Yeah,
they
but
don't
those are
affect
cosmetics.
gameplay.
They're not like
Yeah,
a pay to win thing.
exactly, they're cosmetics, and absolutely nothing's pay to win.
Good. That's how a game should be.
Absolutely. So that would I know that's not within 2020. If I had to say a game that is like past 2020, oh man, I play so many old games. That's my problem. Like I
It's
just go back to
understandable.
the same good games.
Well, like you can't go wrong with a lot of the older stuff because it's not filled with microtransactions, it's not filled with
Hmm.
politics, it's not filled with BlackRock shit, it's not filled with,
Yeah,
you know, always online DRM. No, it's the simple shit. It's keep it simple, stupid.
yeah.
It's that kind of stuff.
Like looking just at some examples. Terraria came out when, and people still play it.
2009, I think.
Exactly. When did
Oh, I feel
Stardew
old
come
saying
out?
that. Fuck.
When did Stardew come out? Jeez.
Like
People still play
12, I
that.
think. 12 or 13, I think Stardew Valley came out. Let me look that up now.
Wow. That makes me feel really old because I know
Stardew Valley.
there's no
Uh,
way it came out 2012, right?
Stardew
And
Valley came out 2016. Nah, it came out before then.
no, I think its
There's
development
no
started
way. It
before
came
then.
out in February 26, 2016. Damn, it's
No,
a lot younger than I thought it was.
that sounds about right. But like these games that came out at that, like in like indie games that came out with that kind of like
Unique
staying
approach.
power. Yeah, unique approach. Staying power is kind of a good way to put it.
Yeah, staying power is a good phrase.
It's
Also,
it's an
hello to everyone in chat. Sorry we're not saying hi back. We're just on a roll here.
but yeah, staying power. It just like sticks around.
Yeah.
Like a new player now could pick it up. Also, they're lighter games. You
Yeah.
don't need a
No, precisely.
supercomputer to play it. You can play it on a laptop. You can play it on, in
You can
some
play it on a
cases,
Steam Deck, for God's sake.
on your phone. You can play it on your phone.
I didn't
Like,
know you could play it on. Did they finally port it to phone?
I think Stardew did. I don't
Wow.
know if Terraria did. I think
Oh,
Stardew
Terraria's
did.
been on phone forever, dude. That's how I played it.
Oh, Terraria's been on phone. Oh
That's
my god,
dude. That's how
that
I
blows
played
my
on
mind.
my. Okay, Dale. To show you my age, I played it on my iPad 2
Oh my,
from
that's
2012. No, 2014 to 2017. I probably played about 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 hours of Terraria on that thing.
actually incredible.
And that was from 1.0.5 equivalent to 1.2.4 equivalent.
That's just incredible that there are games that have that.
It was such a good game, and I made mob grinders for it. I was the cool kid. We all played Terraria together, and I would host the servers, and we'd all do stupid shit. My brother, sister, and all my friends would all play together. That was the shit. Between that and Minecraft, we would just slave away at those games all the time.
Minecraft 2, can't forget about that. The legend.
It's slowly dying though, and I hate to say that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Minecraft in general here. What is your favorite update, and what's the update that you think is the apex for Minecraft? The last good update. What is your
Okay.
opinion on that?
The last good update. I did not like the Caves update.
The Caves and
And
Cliffs,
I'm-
like 1.18?
I did not like 1.18. I think I'm gonna say 1.16 or 1.17. I think 1.16. I'll stop there.
1.17 I felt was kind of shit, because all it did was just add extra blocks.
Yeah, 1.16. Yeah, I remember now. 1.16 is probably what I consider the pinnacle.
Well, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Because they fixed the Nether. The Nether was so boring.
Yeah.
Pre 1.16, and then that was the only dimension that needed fixing. The end got its update in like what, 1.10?
I think so.
It was 1.10 or 1.12 or something, and it got its update, and the end has been, fine. Obviously, you can mod it and make it better, but it's supposed to be a desolate void with an occasional city or structure here and there. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be lively.
The Nether was supposed to be a vibrant hell. And I literally say that, like, quite literally. It is a vibrant hell. You go in there, there's lava everywhere, bright lights and everything, glowstone, and the amount of different biomes. There are 5 different biomes, which people are like, oh, that's not a lot of biomes. It is when you're in hell, and it's hard to traverse in them, especially with the basalt deltas, for God's sake. They really improved the Nether to the point that you can live in it now.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept, and I'm glad they finally added that.
I mean, just evident of how mods are made. Some of the best mods were made for 1.12, which is arguably, I would say, the second best update.
I agree.
And then 1.16 was another great update, and then the mods just jumped from 1.12 to 1.16.
Yeah, because there was no other. It was not worth supporting any other version when 1.16 just fixed all the Nether shit, and it was a modern enough update without all the 1984 garbage that they put into 1.19. But it was a modern enough update that they could, support whatever, and anyone could still run it. It could still run on low-end hardware. I believe people ran Windows 98 on 1.16 once. Like, people actually modded 1.16 far enough that it could run on a Windows 98 computer from, like, 2000.
That's really cool.
Again, it's optimized. Awesome. You just have to optimize it.
Yes. But now a lot of the mods are, like, they're trying to jump to 1.20. Like, I mean, I get it. You want to stay with, like, the new crowd.
You want to stay modern,
yeah. Yeah. Who's playing the newest update, but ultimately, like, I think we both agree.
1.16 was peak. I feel like 1.18 I could understand being updated to, because 1.18 changed the world height. And to some, and even to me, I feel like 1.18 was a good update. It was definitely a solid update. It's just that it had a lot of growing pains that were fixed in 1.19, so it in and of itself is not a perfect update like 1.16 was. And 1.20 added the whole... Well, 1.20 made diamonds more useful, but it also felt more like a pain in the ass kind of update than a convenience one, because now you had to explore even more of the Nether in hopes of getting one template.
Yeah.
That was, like, ass backwards, in my opinion. That just felt unnecessary, especially on a server multiplayer world like mine that I host. totally hard to, like, completely hard to do that, because now you have to have someone make sure that they don't keep it to themselves, yada yada. It's just, I don't even want to bother with that.
Yeah, there's mods that I've experienced similar scenarios where there could be something so rare that there's one of in the entire world within a reasonable distance.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the idea, do you let them have it to themselves or do you force them to share it?
Exactly.
And it just doesn't seem like a smart way to,
It's a great
like,
mechanic if you're by yourself, but as soon as
yes,
you have other people in the world, it's going to
yes.
be that same, like, brother sister kind of syndrome where
Hmm.
you're going to fight over your brother or sister or your friends for that one stupid thing.
You'd think that they would consider multiplayer in it and be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the multiplayer community is so large.
Massive. It's huge.
It,
I would
yeah,
argue it's bigger than the single player.
you'd think that they would consider that when doing something like that. Make it so, or at least have it on a slider, easily accessible to determine how much that structure or item may appear.
Yeah.
You'd think, but obviously they didn't.
So, in addition to Minecraft, and let's go back to the game design actually. So,
Hmm.
have you ever played It Takes Two, Dale?
That I have not. I have heard of it. I've seen it. I have not played it.
Okay. There's also a couple other games that do this stuff, but and in fact, when I was playing Super Paper Mario or Great Book of Mario, if you guys saw,
Hmm.
Great Book of Mario had a lot of different genres mixed into it at different times. And I love when games do that because it keeps it fresh. I love when it doesn't matter what game it is, if you do that in a game, like It Takes Two has Mortal Kombat references in it and like a whole Mortal Kombat kind of section in it. It has a whole Diablo section in it, like a Diablo gameplay-esque section in it. And then of course it has like a billion different puzzles and stuff in it. I love when games do that because it keeps it fresh. Games
Hmm.
need to do that more often because it's good game design. It keeps you on your toes, it keeps your mind fresh, and it doesn't bore the fuck out of you.
It's especially relevant when it comes to linear games that
Yes, no,
have a
precisely.
story related, where you can't go and do one thing and then go to something else and come back to that and jump around. You have to travel in a linear direction.
Exactly.
That's when it's especially important.
Exactly. Because if you just make it samey, everyone's gonna stop playing your game halfway through. And It
Yeah.
Takes Two is a long game. I would argue it's like what, maybe 8 to 10 hours with a friend.
Hmm.
Obviously, you can play it by yourself, but like, why would you? You should play it with a friend. But it's like 8 to 10 hours long, which is a bit longer for a co-op game, in my opinion. Like if you play We Were
Hmm.
Here or something like that, that's only like what, 4 hours. Point is, it's a long game. After 4 hours, you're gonna hit the I'm kind of getting bored mark, and they do a good job at preventing that. I would say around hour 3, they make it interesting, and around hour 6, they make it interesting as well. And there's just a lot of unique concepts like every hour or so into the game. So again, they keep it fresh. You got to keep it
Hmm.
fresh in a game. And if it's not obvious, Dale, that is my favorite game of the decade so far. It Takes Two. But no,
I'll,
again, I keep saying this, game design is important, and there are ways to do it right, like in Breath of the Wild, for example, where even if you do it the wrong way, you can still win. The wrong way, I say, because you can still abuse glitches or what have you to get to the
hmm.
exit. Because if you encourage people to figure it out your own way and not do it by a
Hmm.
textbook direction, you're gonna engage creativity, and that's great for
Hmm.
children. That's great for adults. That's great for people who want to think while playing a game.
Speaking of thinking while playing a game, there's a few games out there that you don't think while playing, like Pokemon. You don't think while playing that. It's usually
Unless it's a
empty head,
Nuzlocke, and then you have to think every second of your life.
but you don't start out playing a Nuzlocke usually. Like some sadists out there do that, but or I should say masochists out there do that.
Masochist, yeah.
They start playing the game fresh as a Nuzlocke, but that realistically, you go in, just play the game. Doesn't require thinking, and having a bad game design sometimes is mitigated by how popular the game is all by itself. Pokemon's an example. The game
I mean,
could
in a way,
suck.
but it shouldn't be the excuse.
It should never be the excuse. They should not have done it as dirty as they did in some areas.
Oh
There's
yeah.
some areas that are great. Like they made, like, looking back even a couple generations, they made big strides on what they wanted to do. But it doesn't mean that there is an excuse to put out a bad game.
Oh, I agree. And this is coming from the guy who played a leaked version of Scarlet a week in advance. There were a couple things that I did like to see about that. Like, they got rid of permanent lasting TMs. You had to make them.
Yes,
Which
that
I
was
thought
really
was cool.
awesome.
Because they actually encourage you to, actually, kill Pokemon to harvest loot. Which made it feel more like an RPG instead of just a collect them all stupid kids game. That being said, the game has like 2 FPS performance on animations that are right in front of you. Don't fucking buy it. You are stupid.
That's strange that you say that, because there have been I think a month or 2 months after it released. Well, on launch they had a day 1 patch.
Yeah.
And then 2 months after they had a large performance patch, which those two resolved a fair amount of issues, but the big issue, a lot of the big issues were not happening in like Switch Lite. It wasn't happening in handheld mode. It was specifically happening in docked mode with the OLED.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird that it was happening with the OLED, but specifically docked mode, that's where you'd have your crashes, that's where you'd have your terrible FPS. Now, I think recently there was a discussion about well, they've known about a data leak for a while, but just how bad the data leak is in Pokemon Scarlet and
Oh
Violet.
yeah, the RAM leak where they have like 30 models of the same thing drawn instead of just one, and it just causes a RAM leak. People have modded that to people have modded that on emulator to boost performance dramatically, and it's hilarious. It's like, guys, you can't code.
Yeah.
And if you've seen there are a couple of videos I watched on YouTube of this guy literally reading Japanese reviews of a like employer review site, because like there are certain sites that allow you to do that, and he looked up Game Freak, and all these people are like, pros, I get to work with a name brand. Cons, no one knows what the fuck to do. People can't do shit here. People can't code. Yada yada. Same thing. No one knows how to code, and they outsource a lot. That was also said. They outsource a lot. And when you have 10 different outsourced companies working on a same project, there's no cohesion. There's no language. There's no comprehension between them. No one's communicating. And you get a jumbled, unoptimized mess of spaghetti code. And that is precisely what they ship every year for $60.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate that, they don't just have it be cohesive and they have adequate communication, because you'd think that would be easy enough for a title as big as
you would think they would hire competent people, but I guess they don't want that.
Yes. Yeah, I guess so.
Ironically, they're probably the most grossing franchise in the video game industry, yet they are allergic to spending money to actually make the games good. Because guess what? They know the games will sell, because people are blind as fuck and will buy them. And I keep digging at Pokemon fans for doing this. You guys need to stop buying the games.
Honestly,
because they're just going to keep making bad ones. You have to tell them. You have to vote with your wallet and tell them, hey, I want a good game this time.
Exactly. There needs to, and I mean, as a person who's obsessed with it, I love Pokemon. I think it's great. As a concept, it's amazing.
It is a good concept.
But when they fail on the really easy stuff, they miss the slam dunks. And then they manage to hit on something super random. It's like, why? You could have had the easy stuff done.
Exactly.
And then figure out the other stuff later. But
and there's games like and there are Pokemon alternatives coming out, like, Cassette Beasts, Temtem, stuff like that are doing it better than Pokemon can, because Pokemon, Lord knows, they can't fucking code their own shit.
Okay, Temtem shit. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
But I don't know.
Well, there are Pokemon likes being made to replace the original feel,
Yes, absolutely.
and it's needed.
Yeah. The problem specifically with some of these alternative, like Pokemon-esque monster collector games, is some of them want to be as big in both the the standard normal player experience and in a competitive feel, and you cannot
You can only go for
deny.
one, honestly. And
Yeah,
especially at that small of a size, you can only really go for the first rather than the last. You
yeah,
have to go for
exactly.
creating a fan base before you just go like, oh yeah, we have competitive fan base now. No, you don't.
Temtem tried to
You
build.
have a competitive fan base of 5 people.
Yeah, Temtem tried to build a game that you could get into its universe, and then the ultimate goal is to play competitive. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
They have a Temtem battle simulator out there on Steam. It exists. It's not
I
even a
believe it.
great game. It's just, but that's, you can tell what their focus was
Yeah.
when they made it. That being said, the Pokemon competitive scene is its whole own brand of shit. It is bad, but it is bad in ways that maybe aren't obvious. But
Maybe
they're
our
trying to
what?
maybe are not obvious.
Oh, okay.
Like the issue with Nintendo and just like Nintendo titles and their competitive scenes
Ooh,
is.
should we transition to that topic?
Do you want to?
Oh, I would love to. I want to
Oh
rip
man.
Nintendo's ass wide open with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
mind if I
Yeah. Go ahead.
allow
Go
me to
ahead.
demonstrate? Free Melee.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing. I myself hate Melee fans because it's an overrated game. But like the fact that they wouldn't allow people to use Slippy, which is a Dolphin emulator, by the way, which is not only open source, but like grow a pair, you don't sell Melee anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They prevent it because it would encourage piracy. My brother in Christ, no one like you're not selling your games anymore. People are gonna pirate your games if you're not selling them anymore. That's called rarity bias. Like no one's gonna pay $300 to some collector chud because you don't sell your game anymore. People are gonna download it. I download it. I download games now. Do you know how much I paid for Smash Melee at a game store? Complete in box,
Oh.
$60.
Oh my god.
Do you know how much I could sell it for now?
Like 80.
At least double that.
Oh my god.
At least double that. My point is, you don't sell your games anymore, so you bet your ass people are gonna pirate them. And you bitching and moaning about this and acting like these and second off, these competitive people, they probably own the game anyways, because they're tryhards that probably use a CRT television. And if you're an elitist cunt who likes your fighting games with zero latency possible, you play on an original hardware with a CRT because there's almost no input latency. Like, this is just from a scientific standpoint. CRTs are great for no latency. They're also great for their blacks, and they're better than OLEDs in their blacks and their contrast ratios. It's just, the problem with them is they pull like 300 watts from the wall. But I'm going a little bit off on a tangent here. These people own the game probably because they're so competitive that they probably train day and night to play it. And you're throwing a fit over them potentially pirating the game. Grow up. Seriously, grow up. These people love your game so much, and you just give them the bird and tell them to fuck off is just demented. And the fact that you have to basically get Nintendo's blessing to host a tournament for a game is stupid. Obviously, there are like ways to avoid that, but like if you're giving away a prize or something, or some other crazy shit, or if you're doing a massive online tournament, they're gonna be breathing down your back, and you're gonna be lucky if you don't get a cease and desist. And it seems like the only events that are allowed to have tournaments are ones hosted by Nintendo alone, like the Pokemon showdowns, like the Pokken tournament they had back in like 2018, like the Splatoon 2 tournament they had back in like 2021, like the Smash tournaments that they hosted many times and they still do. The Splatoon 3 tournaments, which they still host occasionally. That they try to make sure that they keep it in there. Now, obviously, there's going to be those smaller groups that aren't as large and aren't as big of fish to fry in Nintendo's eyes, that have like maybe 100 or so people. But if you have like 1,000 people and you're like well known in the industry, like Evo or what have you, they've shut down those big tournaments quite often, and it's really shitty and really scary how they treat their fans in that aspect. It's very ignorant compared to Capcom and what have you, who are very open and like, go ahead, make a Marvel vs. Capcom tournament. Go ahead.
So to comment on Melee specifically, I think my take on how Nintendo is doing it, Nintendo wants their game to be perceived a certain way. They want it to be for a certain audience. That's just what they do. It's a very non-Western way.
Oh yeah, no, it's a very Japanese way of
dealing with their intellectual property. And because of that, they look at the game as all of the Smash Bros. Titles are for casual gaming. They want it to be a party game. A game that Joe Blow and his buddies can go and buy and just hang out, get drunk, and play the game. That's what they want. They don't want a tournament necessarily, especially when the game is not even being sold anymore.
Yeah.
They don't even get a piece of the pie. So it's totally separate. They're using their intellectual property to generate money for themselves. And that's, I think, what Nintendo's getting upset with. Now,
and you mentioned generating money off of their games. I'm gonna go into the deep archives here. Who remembers when YouTubers had to give Nintendo a share of their revenue to show their gameplay? Anybody remember that? Anybody remember that from like 2013 to 2019 when they did that? Oh, that's why almost no one did Nintendo content creation unless they explicitly did Nintendo content creation. So, Meg, back in like 2012, 2013, all the way up until like 2019, and I literally mean 2019 because I was right at the end of when they were forcing this, you could not post gameplay of Nintendo games if you were making money off of it. If they did, they would copyright claim your videos until you entered their Nintendo Ambassador program, which would take about 30% of the revenue from your videos. And in addition to that 30%, you had to deal with that 70% that you actually got now. But let's say 35% that, or no, let's just say of that 70%, let's just say half of that goes to taxes. You're making 35% of the revenue of the video you made. You're a minority generator of that video now. Congratulations. Basically what I'm trying to say is here, Nintendo literally would force you to give you some of the ad rev that you got from your own gameplay to them so that they didn't take down your videos of their games. And if you said anything bad about their games, there was a clause in the terms of the Nintendo Ambassador program that if you said anything bad about their game, they could just shut down the video. So anyone that critiqued a bad game like Paper Mario, Sticker Star, or Color Trash, or any of those kinds of games, if anyone critiqued that harshly, they could just get the video shut down. Very Orwellian. Very Orwellian. But this is how they treat their fans, and this is how they treat fighting games and all their other tournaments. They don't care. They just want it for money. And if they're not getting a piece of the pie, they'll shut you down.
They want to control how the game is perceived.
Yes.
And what kind of content people are, and what kind of information people are obtaining about the game. They want to control it in a positive light. They want to make it so it's all positive. Oh my god, the game's great.
Yeah, well, okay. When you said in a positive way, I'm like, what? Oh no, you mean like in a PR way? Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. They want to control it in a way where everything coming out is positive. negative stuff, can't have it, and that's
It's
just
very two-faced and very
yeah,
one-sided.
it's inappropriate. Like it's
It
so
is.
against all that the gaming industry has stood for, holding itself accountable for a product. You don't go to the store and buy a let's see, you buy a candy bar and it's shit and you can't say it's shit because someone's gonna come after you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh
It's
man, Hershey's is bad. Oh no, Hershey's is gonna come and get me. Like,
and sue you for slander and whatever other shit.
yeah. Or let's say you do even better. Let's say you do a review on Hershey's candy bars, and you say, "Oh man, they're all bad," but and then Hershey's comes after you. That would be equivalent to what Nintendo's doing.
Yes, no, precisely. Or what they were doing. They're not really doing it
Oh yeah,
anymore.
you're
They
right.
abolished it in
Oh,
2019, early
you're
2019.
right. Still, that's. I mean, it's been 4 years.
And even then, Dale, they still have a thing saying that if you just post gameplay without any user input or commentary, they'll take it down. Do
But
they
that's
enforce that? Not often. But they will enforce it if you leak a game a week early. No,
right there, though.
yeah,
You
but
saying
obviously
it's.
that's obviously justified because it's pre-release,
Mhm,
but like
mhm.
I mean it's just like all you guys care about is all they cared about was the money from like 2012 to 2019 when it comes to showing gameplay. And I knew people that modded Mario Kart Wii. I watched a guy called Sully Pones. I don't know if anybody knows who that is, but he modded Mario Kart Wii to add like fucking 200 custom tracks to it, and every day he'd play a different cup. And he had modded characters in there. I remember one time he played as Rainbow Dash from My Little Pony, and he basically encouraged all of his viewers to dislike the video. and we all disliked the video. There was like 2,000 dislikes on it, but no, it was hilarious. But no, it was shit like that. And I guarantee you, if Nintendo were like constantly keeping an eye on him, they would have shut him down because, oh no, you're modding our like 10-year-old game at the time. That's like really mean and bad, and modding games is bad because it's like encouraging piracy and all this other bullshit that we can come out of our asses with. You know what I mean? It's very stupid their way of thinking about it. And they're like, "Oh, if you mod or hard mod or soft mod our consoles, it's against the terms of service. It's bad. It could be piracy." Blah, blah, blah. Well, of course it's going to be piracy, but it could also be other shit, like maybe overclocking the system so your games could run better. Like looking at the Switch, your games run like shit on the Switch. There's a cool thing called overclocking the Switch so you can run games better. Just saying. I mean, don't you want that rather than oh, I don't know, heaven forbid I pirate your game and play it on Ryujinx? Oh no, heaven forbid. No, it's very dumb how they handle that shit.
Back back to what you said about the Nintendo policy of taking down videos that don't have commentary with the gameplay. That is exactly what fair use is. There's so much talk about fair use in
It's
any sort of
educational.
creative.
It's
Still
educational.
it's still fair use. Like if
Yes.
you upload something and it's just a complete like copy of what is going on, like if you just play a game and don't have any commentary, any sort of anything, wouldn't that be under fair use?
Well, here's the thing, Dale. It would
Or
be
not
under
be under
fair
fair
use
use?
if you interpreted it as a playthrough of a certain area, which it can
Hmm.
very easily be interpreted as such.
Yeah.
Or if you're one of those channels, because I know there's a billion of these channels on YouTube, that long plays a certain game.
Hmm.
Like there are 10-hour long plays of Ocarina of Time on
Yeah.
YouTube and stuff like that. Those are very much fair use because guess what? If you're stuck on a level, pull up the long play, pick where you're at, and boom.
But if there's no commentary, that's when they go in and take it
Yeah,
down. But is that a policy just with Nintendo ambassadors?
it's a policy with anyone who makes YouTube content with Nintendo
Really?
games.
Just Nintendo?
Just Nintendo doing it.
That is okay. So when you said that, I was like, oh, it's It must be like
They abolished
like
the
an
ambassadors
ambassador.
program in 2019. They abolished it. And then they
I
just
was
said,
like-
you're allowed to post gameplay. Just make sure it has commentary. And if it doesn't have commentary, please make sure it comes from a capture on your Nintendo Switch. Really, guys?
That's
Really,
so absurd.
guys?
That's so absurd because you'd think that they would understand how fair use works.
They don't.
You'd think, but they don't.
Remember, this is a Japanese company, not an American company. Their laws are different. They're very much pro company in Japan, and I'm not trying to sound racist when I say that, but it's literally fact there. Modding consoles in Japan is illegal, which is a very stupid fucking rule. But here in America, fuck you, I do what I want. I bought the product, I can do whatever I want with the product. In Japan, you can't do that. Which is very stupid. And they should fix their shit on their laws. But Nintendo is very much Japanese in that sense. They are very strict to their Japanese laws. And they will pull their Japanese laws into America, into Europe, even though they're unenforceable to those countries. But you can't take them out on court because they will nickel and dime the fuck out of you if you try to take them out on court. It's just how it is. It's why Point Crow, when he made his Breath of the Wild multiplayer mod, he got shut down even though he did nothing wrong. It was a mod. Just as Kirby Air Ride has a mod. Just as Slippy is a modified version of Dolphin, which is also bad according to Nintendo. These emulators, like, the one thing Point Crow screwed up on is he didn't make that Breath of the Wild multiplayer mod open source. If he made it open source, the floodgates would have opened, and Nintendo would have never been able to shut them. The problem is that he did not open source that mod. If he open sourced it, it would still be here, and it would be improved upon. Unfortunately for him, and unfortunately for us, he did not do that in time. There was another thing I was going to mention. Since Meg mentioned looking at her modded 2DS. Speaking of 3DS games that are being ported to the Switch and are being charged $60 because people are stupid and will buy them, Nintendo in April of 2024 is shutting down Wii U and 3DS online servers. Your online functionality for games on those two will cease to exist in April of next year. I'm not making this up, by the way. This is real. Pretendo is working, thankfully, and I have tested it. There is actual gameplay footage of me playing Splatoon 1 on my YouTube channel of it working. And it works! This is obviously a beta build from almost a year and a half ago, and it definitely had some issues that were probably kinked out since then. But it worked. It genuinely worked. Obviously, there were some delays, like my teammates started a second before me and I ended a second after them. Stuff like that. But other than that, it worked. And that's saying something. That's impressive. But yeah, the fact that they're basically discontinuing the online service of that, I'm genuinely pissed off about. And not only that, but it shows how greedy they are. Because they're advertising on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon HD. I'm calling it Dark Moon HD. Fuck you, it's not LM2, it's Dark Moon. They're advertising Dark Moon HD to have online multiplayer. Do you know what other console that has Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on it also has? Multiplayer. But it's a damn shame that they're canceling the multiplayer servers for 3DS games next year. You know, coincidentally, right when Dark Moon HD comes out. That sounds pretty scummy if you ask me. That sounds like they're definitely forcing people to jump ship.
I hate the idea of what they're doing. Something that directly affects me is like being within the Pokemon community, realizing that that would leave the only active available games for people to buy and play with an online service. That would leave it literally just like Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. That would be it.
And
Sun
those
and Moon,
games are
gone.
paltry compared to the 3DS ones. The early
Exactly.
3DS ones.
They just aren't as, you know.
X and Y and
there's-
Omega and Ruby or Omega or Omega Alpha were pretty good, I've heard.
Yeah, but them just basically saying, yeah, that's going to be gone. Like, why? That's 3 generations gone in a blink of an eye that you just can't access anymore. You can play it. It's not like the game stops working. But
I mean,
if
there's
you have
Pretendo, but then people have to mod the system to get it to work,
Exactly.
and not everyone wants to do that because some people are purists and don't understand what what Nintendo is doing. But no,
I think
it's just terrible what they're doing.
Too. Comes down to knowledge too of how to do it. Some people are a little bit, you know, just not necessarily interested in taking their technology and messing with it. They just want to have a system that they can play. They shouldn't have to do anything.
Oh no, they shouldn't. They shouldn't have to.
So
my mom told me not to mod my DS after I modded it. Well, joke's on her. Does it still work, Meg? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. Meg, now I'm curious. Have you put a custom theme on your 3DS like I have? Because Hunter made a custom 3DS theme for me that has my outro play in the background of it, which is Gerudo Valley, the Smash Bros. Ultimate Remix. It has just a bunch of Sheikah font and other cool shit. But if I were Meg, I'd probably have a Hatsune Miku fucking thing on the background. But no, Dale, have you modded any of your systems?
Never done it. Never done it.
What systems do you have?
I have Game Boy Color. I have Game Boy Advance. I have a DS somewhere. Have like a 64, actually 2 64s, an SNES, a NES, an Atari somewhere. Like a lot of old games, and then there's a massive gap, and then there's Switch.
Wow. So you're just full on retro motherfucker. I respect it.
Yeah, like
dude,
I mean,
I respect that shit.
A lot of it had to do with me just not having like money to go and buy a new console.
That's fair.
Like I was like a teenager. I didn't have like 200, 300 bucks to go buy a console and then buy a game to play. It just wasn't something that I had the luxury of.
No, that's fair.
So it wasn't like something I could easily do. I had a crappy little laptop like many teenagers end up with. And that just served as what I did to play games. Like just flash games or whatever I could find that would run.
Yeah.
And then once I got I wouldn't even call it a decent like desktop, like a medium desktop.
You got like a low-end desktop.
Low-end desktop. It allowed me to do more, but I was still a lot of stuff I couldn't do. And now I have an actual like beast.
Yeah, you have an actual beast, and you can probably play like, you know, Dolphin or what have you just fine.
I could play anything I want. There's literally nothing I cannot play.
If you have any games you want to play from the game, or if you want me to give you GameCube era recommendations or Wii era recommendations, just let me know. Because
I would say Wii U. Wii U. I never played any Wii U games ever.
Okay, so I mean, obviously there's Breath of the Wild. But there's a couple other hidden gems on there, like the Zelda remakes are pretty good. Albeit some people hate them, some people love them compared to the originals. I feel like Wind Waker HD was a superior game to Wind Waker. Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game. It was the last Nintendo Wii U game. It was also a launch title for the Switch.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like Wind Waker. I remember hearing about that for the Game Boy, or not Game Boy.
Game Boy.
Game Boy. Oh no, GameCube. I was saying Game Boy.
God.
GameCube.
You got me laughing.
I wasn't able to play that, but I remember when Wind Waker was available on the Wii U.
I would definitely recommend you play Wind Waker HD. Twilight Princess HD has some flaws to it, like basically having all the chests that have rupees in them replaced with stamps, which I think is fucking stupid. and that died quickly because they got rid of Miiverse. Well, rip Miiverse.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, it kind of ruins the fun of it. So I would
Yeah.
recommend the GameCube version of Twilight Princess in all honesty,
Mm-hmm.
but that's up to your discretion which one you want to play. I'm not gonna yell at
Yeah.
you for choosing either, but
I mean, it's a big jump from whatever I've played for Zelda titles. It's been like I played a little bit of Ocarina of Time, and then I played Link to the Past in completion.
I will go out and say this: Ocarina of Time is overrated, as is Majora's Mask. But I also hate the time concept of Majora's Mask.
Mm-hmm.
Link to the Past, on the other hand,
That's
is
cool.
the best 2D Zelda. The best.
I don't know how, like, as a kid trying to comprehend.
Oh no,
a
Link to the
big-
Past is fucking cryptic as shit
Yeah.
if you're a kid or if you don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, as a kid, I understood none of it. I was like, I could go into the past, and then go into the past, and I wouldn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
I'd be like, how do I get back? How do I get back? And then I, would promptly die, and wouldn't know what was going on.
No, that's fair. I get that. I get that.
But now I'm, and then I played it later, and I really should play it again.
Yeah, no, it's a good game. It's a very solid game. I would argue probably the best 3D Zelda that it isn't like the modern ones like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I would probably argue is Twilight Princess. And I know that's probably a hot take to some people, but that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I love that game. Wind Waker itself is flawed, especially in the later game, but the HD version fixes that. And then the Twilight version, Twilight Princess HD is just there. It fixes a lot, but also introduces a lot too that ruins it. So it's kind of a wash, I guess you could say.
I mean, clearly the best Zelda title is Link's crossbow training for the Wii.
Dude, I still play that occasionally.
I swear, I remember playing that.
I shit you not. Hold on. I gotta show you this.
Glad I brought this up.
I have a gun holder for it and everything.
Pretty sure I have one of them too.
So like I just load this in and then I'm ready to go.
Hey, I'm pretty sure I have one of them too.
I legit have like on nights go like, okay, fuck it. Crossbow training.
It's so satisfying.
It's fun too, and the controls are kind of they kind of make sense. Wasn't there also there was Twilight Princess Picross, and I downloaded it before the eShop went, and I'm blessed that I did that. But yeah, my 3DS has Twilight Princess Picross on it. I paid 1,000 platinum points for it, and I kind of regret it, but also kind of not. So of the many stupid things I purchased from my Nintendo, I got a Splatoon 3 bag and a Twilight Princess Picross. I also got Flipnote Studio 3D before the eShop shut down as well. But that I was lucky to get, because that I didn't think I would have enough points for. Unfortunately, though, that means I also don't have points to buy other stupid shit with platinum points there.
I don't even know how platinum points work, or any of the points
It's
work.
just dumb, like, rewards for doing stuff, I guess. I don't know. But
the
yeah,
only game...
there was... Hold on, I forget what I was going to say. It was something about... Oh, right, so you mentioned how, like... You and I mentioned how Nintendo had that ambassador program, right?
Yes.
Do you remember, there was a game that came out recently, and I know I mentioned Redfall before on a previous stream, on a previous SavageCast, but Redfall did the exact same thing. They had, like, 10 or so reviewer people, like, big YouTuber channels that had, like, 2 million subs on them, and they went to Bethesda in Maryland, or Bethesda, or Tequila Works, or whoever it was that worked on it in the UK, and they gave these reviews that were very biased, and were probably paid for, about a week before the game released. Now, not only do I say that, but I should also mention that there was a review embargo that was only going to be lifted after the game released. Do you see where I'm going here? So, anyone that actually knew how bad the game was couldn't say anything until the review embargo lifted. And by the time the review embargo lifted, millions of people bought the game for $70 US. $70 US. Always online, de novo DRM, glitchy as fuck performance, horrible AI, and it's just a really bad game by game design. And these people were pissed at people like that they bought this game, that this garbage shit show. And of course, the day it came out, hundreds of people were dogpiling on it being a terrible game, which it was, but they couldn't get a refund. Redfall, Redfall. It's based off a fictional place in Massachusetts about vampires, and it cost $70. Had a shit ton of always online DRM, and not only that, they were going to put in-game purchases, transactions, microtransactions into the game, but people rebelled against that like 3 months before it released, so they axed that. And yet they still made a terrible game. And people were, and there were memes of people running around a car to get this vampire to come after them. They'd run around to the opposite side of the car, the vampire would stand there, then go around the other way, and then it was just this monkey chase that was going on, running around a car. The AI was so bad that it would literally just freeze there for a whole second, figuring out how to path to the player character. And people bought that game and weren't able to refund it because at the beginning of the game, they had you scroll through like an hour-long terms of service. Really, guys? Really?
Money.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what Phil Spencer did after the game had a critical failure and people were super pissed on Twitter? Do you know what he said? Oh, we're sorry, guys. But we're gonna let you. We hope you guys enjoy the next few games. Basically, just a fuck you. Buy more product. And not only that, speaking of woke, the characters were very woke and Mary Sue-like. Like, they just felt like diversity hires. Of the 5 characters you could pick, they all felt like diversity hires. They didn't feel like actual unique characters. They just felt like, some sort of forced inclusion was going on. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, but basically, it was just like, edgy teenager, girl with mom issues. It felt like all samey bullshit. I don't know. I don't get, like, people should not be encouraging these kinds of games, and they shouldn't be encouraging these embargoes. That's why I'm all for people leaking games early, because it brings the truth to light. And maybe it's also because I'm biased because I leak games a lot. Point is, leaked games encourage people to buy them if they're good. If they're leaked early, people are going to actually see it without the embargo. What's the point of a review embargo? Money. DMCA power. Having the ability to sue people if they leak it early. That's basically all it is. And frankly, it's abused a lot in the industry now. Because today, like what Redfall did, and technically what Nintendo did back in the last decade, if they don't like a review, they can shut it down. They have all the power to. Because apparently our government just allows people to do that. It's stupid. But yeah, it's just that kind of shit is ruining the game industry. And it just makes me sad that, albeit Starfield is just another Skyrim, but in very un-American, if you ask me. Oh, I agree wholly. But Starfield is another game that everyone's like, oh my god, it's gonna be such a good game. And it's just like the creepiest fucking faces of characters, and they all look the same. It seems like there's no white characters in the game. I mean that. Literally, there's none. And they have you go through these dungeons to get shouts that are randomized. They're not predetermined. If you want a cool shout, you can't just go to a certain place in the universe to get it. You have to go through each of the dungeons in the world, which are just these shitty little things that have a bunch of enemies that you shoot them. And you get these shouts. Motherfucker, this is just Skyrim in space. Can you actually make a unique game for once instead of just another Skyrim-like? Please! I want another... I still need to play New Vegas. I want to play New Vegas. I want games that are like New Vegas. I want games that are back in that old time where Obsidian actually worked with Bethesda. But unfortunately, Obsidian broke off and made their own garbage, and we don't talk about Outer Wilds, or Outer Worlds. Shame this game looks cool, but my laptop will be on fire if I try to run. Well, Starfield's is horribly unoptimized, and it does look like a game from 2015. It doesn't look like a game from 2023. Yet it requires hardware from 2023 to run it. It's horribly unoptimized. And Bethesda knows this. Todd Howard knows this. Does he care? Fuck no, because you're giving him money. Why should he care? That's just the way. I mean, that's just the way the industry is going. They put politics first. They charge you a bunch of money for it. Oftentimes, they'll charge you a bunch for DLC or force DRM on it. And worst case scenario, the game runs like shit. And no one wants to play it after, 10 hours or so because it just runs like shit. Or it's the same exact game that it was 6 years ago. It's like, why bother? I was excited for Starfield when they announced it because I was like, oh, cool. 6 years ago, I was like, oh, cool. It's a new RPG that they actually might put effort into. And the trailers looked really good. But then people data mined the game and realized that it's literally just the same fucking creation engine from 16 years ago. 16 years ago! That's like using the Source engine on a brand new game today. Valve wouldn't do that. They made Source 2, 5 years ago. Anyways, sorry for going on a tangent. Anything you want to add, Dale?
I guess what's funny about the that particular thing of making a game with that much. I mean, it had, and this is I'm gonna tie this to the E3 conversation we touched on at the beginning. But hype is dangerous.
Oh my god, yes.
Hype is dangerous. It sets expectations that are not able to be met. And I do think that exact reason of hype setting expectations that are unhealthy, because there are rabid people out there.
Oh my god, yes.
that can't think straight when it comes to expectations. That is why E3 inevitably failed indirectly.
Yes.
Because
that's why a lot of games failed. It's why I have buyer's remorse for a couple games I bought back in 2016. It's just like, wow, that game sucked. I bought Pokemon Moon, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. It's a Pokemon game. I played it. 30 hours into the game, I beat it. I'm like, wow, that sucked.
Yeah, it's bad.
That sucked. That was mid as fuck.
Yeah.
I used a slow bro to kill everything, and I'm like, wow, this is boring.
That's slow bro for you.
This is boring.
That's slow bro for you.
That's why indie games and even stuff like Gmod gives you way more for your money nowadays. Well, here's the thing. Why do you think I play Jackbox and Gmod all the time? Because those games I get my money's worth out of. I have fun with friends. That's my money's worth to me, all right? Like, sure, everyone loves that beautiful experience game where you go into it and you're immersed in this beautiful world, like Breath of the Wild, for example. But you're only going to play that maybe once or twice in your life, or if you're like me, 5 times, but for very short bits of time. But even then, you're only going to play those games so many times compared to GMO, which you can pick up every week and not get bored of it. And it's not like a playthrough every week. It's just a 3-4 hour session every week. And it's easy to do that. But no, indie games are the way to go, just because they actually seem to care. And speaking of, I guess it's an indie game technically, even though they're charging like $60 for it. Baldur's Gate 3. I've heard it's great. I've heard a lot of people love it and religiously swear by it. I've heard it's pretty good. Obviously, it's not a perfect game, but I've heard it's a great game. For its price and for what it is. And it's a D&D like, and they seem to have actually put effort into it. Now, I've heard Chapter 3, the end of the game, sucks, or is kind of eh. But I've heard they actually gave a lot of effort to Chapter 1, which I've heard from some people is like 40, 50 hours long. And frankly, in my opinion, this is just my rule of thumb, and your rule of thumb may differ. An hour per dollar of cost is how much you should get out of a game. A AAA $60 game should get you 60 hours of quality gameplay out of it. At least. At least. This is my rule of thumb. You may disagree. You may think it's more. You may think it's less. I don't care. My rule of thumb is, if you are able to get 60 hours of enjoyable time out of a $60 game, you enjoyed the game. That's my opinion.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that number perfectly.
That's my opinion, but I think that is. I mean, technically, if I were to have bought orange juice, that would have been $7. I mean, I've bought orange juice for somebody already. I know Fawn's probably bought orange juice for like 10 people. So let's just say $80 for Fawn. He's probably gotten 100 hours out of orange juice. So he's enjoyed the game. Like that's just an example. But let's just say he spent $80 on the game giving it out to people. And he got 100 hours of enjoyment out of it. He got his money's worth. That's my opinion, but I think he would get his money's worth if he played 100 hours of a game that he spent 120 hours. Point is, you're proving my point. Point is, that's how I see it with games. If you get an hour's worth of enjoyment out of a game, it's worth $1. Payday 2, I paid $1 for. I got maybe $4 of enjoyment out of it, because I played it for 4 hours. It was a fun little game. I haven't played it since. I played it once. It's just, you have to find the right people for it. You have to find the right people for it. And unfortunately, I don't have the right people for it. Now, Gmod, on the other hand, that game is worth its money in gold. It's $10. I bought it for somebody who, unfortunately, doesn't play it with me much. But for $10, I've probably gotten, 100, 200 hours of enjoyment out of it. And it's only going to go up every fucking time I play it. So, I mean, hey, I'll take it. You know how much I paid for Terraria back on my iPad 2? Like $5. Do you know how many hours I played it? Somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000.
That really puts it in perspective, Just like how valuable a game is when you put it into hours in versus how much money you put in.
No, it's a great way to think about it. It's a great way to think about it. Did you get your money's worth out of it? Did you get 1,000 hours out of a game that you paid $60 for? If so, good job, dude. You saved yourself a shit ton of money not wasting it on other games.
I mean,
I'm just saying that's how I put it.
Then there are a couple games, out there that some people have over 2,000 and upwards of 4,000 hours in.
Kira.
Oh, there's one game that I have almost 3,000 in.
What game?
It's Warframe. It's almost 3,000. We're going strong.
There was a game you bought last month for like $15. Beat the entire game in 25 minutes. Not kidding. I refunded it. Yeah, then that's a waste of $15 in my opinion. That's a total waste of $15 in my opinion. If it's only a 25-minute game and it's not worth replaying. If it's worth replaying like a Metroidvania or what have you, then sure, cool. Go ahead, go have fun. But if you're just gonna if it lasts like literally 30 minutes and there's nothing extra to it, why bother? You got 7K on Fortnite, bro. And you're up in there on in Warframe and Dauntless 2. Jeez. Damn.
Another Warframe player?
Yeah. You
Let's
you should probably
go.
talk to Ninja about it. But yeah, for 25 minutes for $15 is ridiculous. I agree.
That's
The only way you convince me to waste that much money on that short of a thing is if I'm at a casino or if I'm at a convention.
I'm glad there's another Warframe player.
I have about
Not
600 hours in Minecraft. Okay, so Meg, I have 997 hours in Minecraft on this computer. That is not factoring in the 300 or so on my Switch. That is not factoring in the probably 1,000 or so on my tablet, on my iPad, and the probably 200 before then. Yeah, I played Minecraft a lot as a kid, and I still play a lot of Minecraft today. I probably have 2,000 hours in that game, and I probably spent like maybe $5 for the Pocket Edition back when it was called Pocket Edition, and maybe I don't know, $30 for the Switch version, and then maybe I don't know another 20 for the Wii U version, and then maybe nothing for the PC version. I got the PC version for free because my dad had a Java account, and I just merged it into my own account. So overall, I paid like maybe let's just say $60 for Minecraft, and I got 2,000 hours. I got my money's worth. I got my money's worth.
that'll do it.
It's same with Jackbox. I probably paid, $15 per Jackbox game. Actually, let's say 30 per Jackbox game because I did buy the Steam releases of them as well as the Switch releases of them. So let's say $30 per game. I've checked my Switch. Each of those Jackbox games, I've probably gotten anywhere between 50 and 100 hours each on. And probably more than that since then. It's probably closer to 70 to 140 hours at this point. Point is, Dale, did I get my money's worth?
Yeah, you did.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like you put in, like with the Minecraft situation, putting in less than 1/20th of what you could, like
Yeah,
less than 1/20th of the amount of hours you put in, but it's still really good. Like,
exactly.
the ratio is really good.
Tears of the Kingdom is like $70, but I got 300 hours out of it. I got about 120, and then I stopped after I beat Ganon. I don't know. It's just I feel like there are a lot of flaws to that game, and I'll bring those up right now. Tears of the Kingdom has a couple flaws. Exploration of Deaths sucks. It's very mid. It still has the open world syndrome of big area, but not a lot to do in it. Obviously, there's a couple bosses in the deaths and stuff like that, but it's just go here to get this, 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 and it's just a lot of flying. If you go back to my streams, a lot of it is just me flying on a flying machine. It shows that there's not a whole lot of content. I mean, it's still rich, and I didn't go through a whole lot. I didn't go through the game with as thick of a comb as you did, Don. But still, like, I got 120 hours out of it. It's not the best game ever made, but it is a game that I enjoyed, and I got my money's worth out of. So I can't really complain too much about it. It's definitely like a 9 or an 8.5 out of 10. Probably a 9 out of 10. The gameplay they improved upon from Breath of the Wild, so I'll give them that. They definitely did a lot of things that they fixed from Breath of the Wild. So again, more points to it. It's just that it's not the best game ever made like a lot of people think it is. Anyways, what other things do we want to talk about? Anything from you, Dale?
Well, we talked about. I know we didn't talk about the Game Awards. I know we kind of touched on E3. Did you have anything to say about Game Awards? I know.
They're dead to me.
Fair enough.
No, seriously. If you have the audacity to put 30 minutes of award giving out into an extra 3 hours of, oh yeah, let's just have a drag queen on here showing that he's a drag queen. And oh, let's just have this black person here because he's black. And let's just have this gay person here because she's gay. And all this other fucking stupid diversity hire bullcrap. I don't want that. That's not the average gamer. The average gamer is most likely a guy. I'm sorry if that's sexist to you. Most gamers are male, and we don't need to see all this diversity hire bullshit because Mr. ESG and BlackRock told me to do so. No one cares, okay? We just want to see the games that won awards. And even then, most of those awards are just shilled for. Like, probably Neil Druckmann paid for a couple of them for Last of Us Part 2. Like, frankly, the Game Awards are dead. It's just a lot of woke propaganda and a lot of just overwhelmed bullcrap and fluff that they could have just filtered out and made it 30 minutes long instead of 3-4 hours long. That's just my opinion.
I agree with the fluff portion. Like, I think, people want to see the awards. That's what they come for.
They don't come for the music or the performances or the woke rainbow flag shit. No. We came here for games, not for ads and and meme material that we don't give a fuck about.
Over commercialized, I think
it's very over commercialized. Very.
Yeah. And that's not how you get people to care about your
it gets people to ignore it quite quickly.
Exactly.
No, it's just that's what the average gamers only want two things: boobs and guys in a maid costume, not politics. Exactly. No, keep your politics out of the fucking Game Awards. Except they won't, because they know that they get money for doing it. Mm-hmm. And if they can check off that they have blacks in their show, that they have gays in their show, that they have men pretending to be women in their show, that they have drag queens in their show, it gives them money doing that. And all it incentivizes is the corporations. And it's very sterile and corporate today. That's what I don't like about the Game Awards. It's very sterile and corporate. It doesn't have a soul in it. Mm-hmm. And that's just what I hate about it. It's very sterile and soulless. It doesn't have like the happy hunky-dory, like wholesome vibes that other things have, like the F3 that came out or stuff like that. If you know what F3 is, basically it's I think Kazuya Manoir hosts it. If anybody knows who Kazuya Manoir is, he's a giant Mario 64 hacker. Super cool guy, but it's shit like that is wholesome enough, but it also doesn't have like people boringly, talking about diversity and shit. It's just, here's a cool ROM hack, here's a cool ROM hack, here's a cool ROM hack, here's a cool ROM hack. And I like that. I like that because it's straight to the point. Now, obviously, ROM hacks aren't my forte, but I know a lot of you would say that that's your forte, and good for you. There are a couple ROM hacks that I would like to play. But it's just like, that's how you do a presentation right. You don't fill it with fluff. No one wants to see fluff. Mm-hmm. No one wants to get annoyed with fluff. We just want to see the games, damn it.
That right there.
We want to be angry cavemen that see game. We don't want to be angry cavemen that see whatever, insert diversity hire thing here, insert this is sponsored by Dell Alienware or whatever else. No one fucking cares, man. Shut up. Get out of here.
Fluff being filled reminds me a lot of what I remember seeing from E3 as well.
Oh my god, dude.
The only thing that I remember out of any E3 presentation other than the fail, right? Other than just complete catastrophic failure, has been one particular publisher basically mocking E3 in its essence. At E3.
Was that Devolver Digital?
Yeah.
Okay, that was funny though. That was funny. They were very tongue-in-cheek about it, but they also made fun of like literally everything, and they made fun of loot crates and cryptocurrency. Yeah. Remember the loot box coin?
Microtransactions.
Remember loot box coin?
Which one was that? Was that 18?
It was like a giant like disc that looks like a coin that they sold on their shop that was like $300. It's like introducing loot box coin. Buy it now before we double the price tomorrow. And they literally doubled the price the next day to like 600. And people bought it. People bought it. That's the thing. That proved their point. People bought that shit, but it is real. Like, look up loot box coin. It
I'm gonna
was
have
like
to
a
look
thing
that
that
up.
they made up back in like E3 2018 or
Oh,
2019.
it was 2018.
But dude,
I
it was
remember.
so funny because they actually made fun of all that shit, and I loved it. But
Yeah.
it just goes to show these indie games have had it with that crap. And frankly, if I were to be honest with you, indie games are the way to go. If you has anybody here played Pizza Tower? Now I was gonna beat the game, but I just suck at games, and I'm not good at Pizza Tower. But if you like a Wario like, if you like Wario Land or Wario, I think it's called Wario Land Shake It, on the Wii. If you like those kinds of games, you'll love Pizza Tower. It's a great game, very fluid, a lot of Wario-like mechanics in it. It's a fun as fuck game. It's just I'm bad at it. Music's great, game's great. It's like $20. I'd recommend it. You'll definitely
Yeah,
get $20 worth out of it if you like. It's a good speedrunner game too if you like that kind of stuff.
it's a really solid game.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially like, and I think the sad part is that out of all the games this year, like, because Steam does their own game awards
Yeah.
like at the end of the year, that game came out in January.
Mm-hmm.
It might still win
It
an
might
award.
honestly win, yeah, and I wouldn't blame it.
And
I would be
I-
like, you go,
I'll
dude.
vote
You go,
for
dude.
it. I'll vote for it. No
I'll
doubt.
vote for it too.
Has to be. Has to be.
Unfortunately, there'll be a lot of Bethesda drones that go like, "Oh, my Starfield, so good."
Oh, that I'm gonna hate that. I think what made E3 particularly interesting in that sense of they're gonna mock, like Devolver mocking E3 like that conference style thing at E3. What really made it interesting is E3 was never meant to be the whole let's present video games in front of a crowd of fans.
No, actually, so fun thing about that, Dale. I believe it was 2017 or 2018 was the first year, or what? Maybe it was
2017.
It was the first year they allowed the public to enter.
Yeah, it was 2017.
Before that, it was just the press that was allowed to
Yeah.
enter.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
you had to watch it on a VHS tape or on the news or whatever else, or watch it on G4 because G4 used to cover it back when G4 existed. Remember when G4 existed? Me too. But G4 used to cover that stuff because people would watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was before YouTube existed and G4 came on so you could watch E3. And that's how you got your video game news. That's how you got your video game announcements. And unfortunately, because that's no longer a niche and a mainstream thing now, they make it very corporate and very stale and very sterile as well. And it's just boring to watch now. It's like, oh, here's this. All right, we're going to talk about our sponsor, Alienware. We're going to talk about another sponsor, fucking Razer. And our other sponsor, Samsung. Go buy their TVs. Yeah, all right. Here's the next game. It's just like, huh?
Yeah, it's interesting
I could literally download the press conferences of E3 2018 and edit out all that sponsor garbage and all the political garbage, and it would probably be about 20% as long as the original footage.
Mm-hmm.
Razer, okay, Meg, here's the fun thing about Razer. Razer has really cool shit that will break in 5 minutes after you own it. Do not buy Razer. Please do not buy
unless
Razer.
you buy really like old like.
Well, if you buy their like stuff from 2009, it's gonna last forever. But that's because that was 2009. It's the same thing with Alienware. If you bought Alienware back in 2009 before Dell bought it, you got some cool shit. Unfortunately, it's probably a computer that can't run anything today because of how ancient it is. But that was back when they actually made good shit. Today, they're run by Dell, and Dell is known to literally give you the bird and tell you to go die in a hole somewhere.
I remember the Razer mouse that I got lasted 8 years. It lasted way longer than I expected it to.
Nice.
And it was just like a Razer mouse. It was I think it was a Razer Taipan. It was just like the ambidextrous mouse.
Gotcha.
I remember going. It was like the first time I wanted a gaming mouse. I just wanted to feel a good like quality like mouse because I've never had one. I was always using like the crappy little Logitech, USB plug-in.
Logitech actually makes pretty good mice. I wouldn't
Well,
shit on
it
them that
was it
much.
was like the really old one. So it was like
Ah.
the laser ones that were really bad.
Oh
Like
yeah, no,
it was like the really mini ones.
gotcha.
It was not a good mouse. Especially trying to game. Because you couldn't adjust sensitivity or anything.
Oh yeah, no.
So I wanted a decent mouse, and I remember going to Best Buy or wherever and just feeling the mice. I didn't know anything about mice. And that was one that felt the most comfortable. I got it, and it lasted 8 years, and I don't think um that'll ever happen again. Like
Yeah, you got lucky
plus,
there.
yeah.
Like I have an X10 mouse from a VGA
Mhm.
because I'm a VGA fanboy, and I will proudly admit that, even though it's very stupid for me to fanboy over certain
Mhm.
companies. But their mice are decent. At least their X10s are. But they discontinued them like 3 years ago, so I have to buy them for like $50 each. And I've gone through
Yeah.
two already. And my first one, I pressed the center key, the mouse wheel, too many times in Halo. That it lost. Actually, it was Doom Eternal. I think I was playing, and I used the glory kill button as a mouse wheel, and it eventually lost its button, and
Mhm.
like it wouldn't actuate anymore. Now I just
Mhm.
think I had bad luck, so I bought a second one, and other than the paint scraping off of the side buttons, thing works fine. Love it. Probably had it for a year and a half now, and it's just fine. But I gave that old mouse to my brother, and he has no complaints with it, except for the center click not working, but he doesn't use the center click. I do for Halo and stuff like that, so that's why I immediately changed it out, but he has no issues with it, so other than that one button
Mhm.
failing, I'm not going to discount it. Why do you have a $160 Alienware mouse? How is that thing not dead already? And the scroll wheel hasn't broken on you yet. Yet. That's the keyword here.
I just have like a $50 Logitech mouse,
Yeah.
and
Like again, I bought this for $50 and I love it. I now my keyboard I wasted $200 on, and I will admit that was not the happiest $200 I spent. But
what keyboard?
it has a Corsair K95 XT. I
Okay,
love
I
it. It's
also
a
have a
great
Corsair.
keyboard. It's metal, like you can't really bend it. It has a wrist rest. Unfortunately, the wrist rest is starting to wear down. The keys are great. Keycaps are great. The keys
Mhm.
themselves are silvers, which I like. They're almost as good as reds. I prefer reds though. RGB is fine, even though I just have it as solid red all the time. The volume rocker is okay. It's not the best volume rocker in the world. It's like you slide it up and down. That's why it's a rocker. Um,
Mhm.
but the main reason I got it was because it has 6 keys for the Stream Deck. And I press one and I can screenshot. And that's mainly the reason I bought it. It's because I have 6 keys I can configure to my Stream Deck without
Mhm.
actually touching my Stream Deck. So that's why I like it. But if I were to get a new keyboard, it would be probably something a little bit cheaper, maybe custom made. Because frankly, that you don't need to pay $200 for a keyboard. Corsair is very
Yeah,
overpriced. They make good keyboards, they're just very overpriced. And I would highly recommend you go for HyperX or something else that's cheaper.
I also have a Corsair keyboard.
What kind?
Mine's I believe the box is over there. K60.
Okay, that's a low end memory one, but those are pretty good.
Well, I think I went for it specifically because I'm like very picky about the key, like how it feels.
Oh, you just like membrane. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I really do like membrane. Is this membrane? I don't think it's membrane.
If you pull the keycaps off, which you can do,
I don't want to do it right now.
okay, I don't want to scare you, but no,
Um, I don't believe it's membrane.
does it
I,
make a
I
click? Does it make a clicky sound when you press on a key?
oh yeah, it makes clicky.
Oh, it probably is. It probably just has like clicky membrane in it, but I'm pretty
I
sure
think
a
it's
K60 is membrane.
I think it was violet. I remember when I got it, it was a violet uh key.
I'm pretty sure it. Oh no, it is mechanical. I thought it
Yeah.
was. I thought it was a membrane. Never mind.
It was the softest one that they had. Like I'm very picky about. I don't like it to really sound like I'm mashing my
Oh
hand
no,
on it.
no. Blue switches are loud. Blue
Yeah,
switches are very loud. You probably got reds or something.
no, I got violet.
Oh
Pretty sure
yeah,
I
you
got
did. You
violet.
got viola, which is
Oh,
yeah,
viola. Yeah,
yeah.
that
You
sounds about
got.
right.
Oh, it's an aluminum one. Okay, so yeah, $80. So that's not terrible.
Yeah,
No, you
and
got
and
yourself
I
a solid
love it.
one.
I love it. It
Yeah.
also, I don't know if all the keyboards came with it, but it has like that nice wrist rest.
Yeah, it's I have a wrist rest as well. It's just unfortunately mine's wearing down, but I'm pretty sure you can just buy one and it's not like those things wear off
Yeah.
anyways because you rub your wrist on them
Mhm.
and it
Yeah.
wears it out. No shit, Sherlock.
Mhm.
And it's specifically worn out in two areas next to where my left hand goes.
Yeah.
So everywhere else it hasn't rubbed off yet, but specifically where my left hand is. So honestly,
Mhm.
I'm not shocked it's worn off.
Yeah. And you know, like this is my first keyboard with a wrist rest, and I am, not complaining at all. It's a pretty nice keyboard
Yeah.
for $80. No complaints.
And I gave my brother an old keyboard that I had, Z20 from a VGA. I got for like $50. So I was like, fuck it, why not? And it's a whole ass keyboard. Like it's got macro keys on it. It's got a volume rocker
Mhm.
on it. It's a like $100 keyboard for like half the price. I gave it to
Nice.
my brother because I didn't like it because of the optical keys, which are meant for gaming, but they suck for typing, and I
Mhm.
type a lot. But he's fine with it. He doesn't hate it, so I'm like, okay, you enjoy it. It's yours now. It's yours now. Just give me the old keyboard that I gave you before. But no, all of a sudden we're talking about keyboards now. But yeah, anything else? You guys have any questions for us? Anything else? Any other things? Dale, do you have any questions?
No, but I will ask if anyone has anything to ask me. They can.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and ask us, y'all. How long have we been going? We've been going for an hour and a half. That's pretty good, I
Yeah.
would say.
Mhm. For my terrible attention span, that's amazing.
Hey, you've been doing pretty good, bro.
Yeah, I've been hanging in there.
Yeah.
I dropped 3 pens already. They're right down there next to each other.
I dropped
I
a
got one
lanyard from
more.
my lamp here. And I had to pick it up. That's probably why you saw me off camera for a second. I was picking up a lanyard that I had fall. Uh,
Yeah, I just keep dropping my pens. I'm like fidgeting with the pen and it'll fall, and I don't want to reach down and grab it. So just pick up another one, and then I drop that one eventually.
Typical Dale.
Yeah, just so many pens everywhere. All the pens. All of them are bank pens too, because bank pens are the best pens.
Okay, you're gonna laugh at this. Let's talk about pens. My dad went to a coin show, and oh, you can't really see it, but I got a pen from the customer service center of the U.S. Embassy in Azerbaijan.
Wow, that's a fancy
If you
one.
don't know where Azerbaijan is, it's a country south of Russia, north of Iran. And for some reason, my dad got a Baku U.S. Embassy. Baku is the capital of Azerbaijan. He got me a pen from there because someone left it at a table. So cool. I have an Azerbaijani pen. Awesome. Um, just weird flex, I guess.
That is
I also got a
impressive.
space pen while I was at the Air and Space Museum, and you can literally write on it upside down, which is cool. You can write upside down like this, and it works. Meanwhile, the Russians decide to use pencils, like any normal human being with no gravity. You just use a fucking pencil. All right. Oh, have we reached it? No, we're at 95%. Oh dear God, guys,
I can't contribute anymore.
we're at 97%.
If I came by yesterday, we'd be there because I would have contributed. But
Bro, we need 5K. Jesus Christ. If you haven't contributed yet, feel free to. Skull emoji. All right, well, any other questions, guys? Vic, Don, anyone else in chat? Do you have any questions for us? Anything at all? Let me quickly brush up on. Oh, I can't check Discord. I can't check Discord because then it would fuck up.
you want me to check Discord?
Let me check suggestions so I can see what any other topics you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on the video game industry today? I mean, we kind of glossed over that, but I'll gloss over it again. The video game industry is dying today. It's just a dead franchise, a dead industry, or quickly dying. kind of like the movie industry. I'd argue. In fact, let's talk about that. The movie industry is kind of dead too. It's just a lot of the same corporate shit. I mean, just look at Disney for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like, let's make Little Mermaid black. That makes sense.
Originality is dying. It's all about
It's
what
dead.
can we.
It's been dead.
Fair enough. It's all about what can appease as many.
How many minorities can we appease with this movie? That's essentially what they're doing now.
They're not thinking about let's make something original that's actually quality and put in heart and soul and sweat and tears and blood.
Creativity
to actually
is
make
dead.
something good.
And it's a damn shame. That's why I always recommend people support, like, you know, local or indie shit, because frankly, that's more creative than the stuff that comes out today. And that goes with games too. A lot of the big corporations, they just pull these sacks of shit out of their ass and go like, here's a game for $60. It's the same game like last year, except we retextured it. Oh, here's FIFA 24. Here's FIFA 25. Here's
don't
FIFA
even get
26.
me started on that crap.
Here's NBA 2K21. Here's NBA 2K22, 2K23, 2K24, 2K25. It's the same fucking game, guys. How blind of a sheeple do you have to be?
It's just an updated roster. They could literally put out one game.
They could put out. You know what they could do, Dale? They could put out a $10 roster update DLC. They could do that if they were good people. If they were good people, they would go like, okay, pay us $10 to $20 for a roster update every year, and we'll update the roster for you. Same game and everything. Just we'll update the roster. That I feel like is fair, in my opinion.
And then they could put in, if they really wanted to add new content, new modes, new anything, just make a DLC. And, you know, if they really want their money, they can put a price tag on it that's, you know, reasonable. And there you go. They get all their money, but it's greed. They want to put out the same game.
It's stupid that these people keep buying the same sports game every year, and it's the exact same sports game that it was last year. Yeah. It's like, guys, come on, are you stupid?
It's still bad. It's not a good game either.
And that way you don't have like 20 of the same game, but just different years. They're a good friend of mine, Green Bay Peyton. You'd probably know him because he's in the same state as you. But he plays, I believe it's NFL 2K5 on the PS2, but he uses PCSX 2, which is a PlayStation 2 emulator, and he uses a ROM hack of it that adds in today's roster.
I love it.
So today's teams, today's players, and everything, and you can play in first person in it, and it's not as accurate or as intuitive as the new games, but it's free. It doesn't have always online DRM. You don't need a powerhouse PC to run it. It's a PS2 game emulated on your computer. And you can play with friends, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there's NetPlay or something. But point is, why not just do that? I mean, people are literally doing it for free. There are literally like fan ROM hacks that do that. Why not just do that, guys? No, because it makes you money.
Those games have been eliminating features from their game. Like actual features people liked. They've been eliminating them to add more space. They don't need more space. They just eliminate it and then make more microtransactions. That's all they've been doing.
Well, I mean, basically the FIFA Ultimate Team and shit like that is just pay to win garbage anyway.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, I don't get why people play that shit, because it's literally just pay to win.
It's embarrassing that it exists.
It is. And the thing is that it gets a lot of views. There are a lot of people on Twitch that do that stuff, and it gets a lot of views, and I'm like, why do people watch this? Like, no offense to those people that do that. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, why do people do that? It's a money pit. Like, you literally are taking money out of your own wallet just to show that you have money. It's a way of showing off wealth. And there are many better, healthier ways to show off your wealth than doing that. Then, cool guys, look, I have all the MVPs of FIFA. I'm so cool. Really? It's almost as bad as gambling on, like, gambling streams. It's like, dude,
As soon as people care about it, it'll be gone and no one will care about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not like, creativity is dead, and we're just gonna get the same games every year or every generation when it comes to Bethesda, and reviews will be rigged. Corporations will put diversity hires into their shit, and we will just forever be doomed if we keep voting with our wallets by giving them money. And we need to stop giving them money. Like, please, guys, if you are out there and you actually care about the gaming industry, stop buying bad games. Please, go buy indies. There are tons of indies I could recommend to you on Steam. Seriously, I mean that. Go buy 100% Orange Juice and play with us. Go buy Gary's Mod and play with us. Go buy Jackbox, man. You'll be the star of the party if you bring that with you. Like, for God's sake, people love that shit. People eat that shit for fucking breakfast. Like, I don't get why people go like, oh, I'm gonna buy FIFA every year, or I'm gonna, buy NFL 2K, or buy NFL Madden or what have you. No, those are the same game every year. I can bring over NFL Madden 12 on the Wii, the one Madden game I own, and you won't feel any difference playing that compared to anything else. I'm damn sure of it. Because it's football. Everyone knows football. You can't really just change football.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fancier graphics. Oh, it's not worth paying $60 for fancier graphics. Jeez. I just don't understand why people support the AAA gaming industry anymore. I really don't. And this is why I leak these games early all the time, because I don't feel sympathy. I really don't. I have no sympathy for these companies today. And neither should you. And you shouldn't be giving these companies free money that either A, you worked hard for, or B, you could have used to better yourself. Or C, you could have given to a company more worthy of it. Obviously, I'm not trying to sound like a Orwellian motherfucker going like, you should only spend your money on this. But you should also learn that you should not be blindly spending your money on some company just because of blind loyalty. That's not how anyone should work. Because as soon as you give that up, they know that you can be manipulated. And that's bad. People just need to wake up and smell the roses, I feel. That's just my problem with the gaming industry today. It's just, it's a black hole. And we need to support the small companies and the small devs that actually give a shit about their games. Any do you play any indie games, Dale? Any that you would recommend?
Any indie games? I'm not gonna lie. I have been really, like, when I find a game that I love,
You fixate.
I fixate. I get locked in. It is all I play.
That's not a bad thing, honestly.
And I agree, it isn't a bad thing, especially when there are games that exist that are just drugs in my veins. They are that good. They give me the serotonin, they give me the dopamine, they give me the whatever chemical in my brain that I am needing at that moment. They provide. And that's a special feeling when you have a connection with a game like that, where it's actually good. It's good. It gives you everything you want, and most importantly, they respect your time.
Exactly.
They aren't trying to waste your time. They aren't trying to, like, especially I play games that involve a lot of grinding, a lot of, like, collection of resources
Warframe.
and stuff like that. Warframe. Classic, known for its grinds, some of which people will say are terrible and do not respect your time. And I would argue that every single one up to this moment, except for maybe one, respects your time. That you can get the complete thing within a week.
Okay, that's decent.
And it's not meant to be like you snap your fingers and you get something instantly. That's never what it's meant to be. So I consider that pretty good.
I would agree. Like obviously, putting effort into the game is something that they require, but obviously, it not being a like, oh, you have to meticulously work throughout the entire season to get it, doesn't like. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm the anti-grind. I hate grindy games. I tried to
Mhm.
play Xenoblade 2 when it released. Played it until like chapter 3, which is like 10 hours in. I'm like, okay, I'm bored. I'm done.
Yeah, you'd hate Warframe then, because it is the quintessential grind.
I
I used to play Path of Exile too.
I've heard of that.
That game used to be good. It's it's beyond dog shit now. It used to be amazing. It's but as their thing with their seasons, sure it's a free to play game, but every season they add has more adds more confusing content that they just slap in some corner somewhere that is inevitably meaningless after a few seasons, and it's just a garbage game. It's just
Not
so
only a
garbage.
grind, but makes you wait 3 days to craft a new frame. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so I'll explain that. When you get the resources, all the parts to build your Warframe, then when you craft it, you have to wait 3 days in the in the foundry to craft the Warframe. Early on, this may seem awful because you only have like 1 or 2 frames. I think it's fine because you aren't meant to get things instantly. There's enough stuff to do, especially early on, that doesn't need to involve you having everything. Sure, it's artificially slowing you down from progressing, but it's not like you have nothing to do but sit there twiddling your
3
thumbs.
in-game days or 3 IRL days?
3 IRL days.
And does that mean you can just like quit and do something else while you're waiting for those 3 days?
Yeah, you can go and do another thing. You can
Like
go and
play another
do
game, go outside, whatever?
yeah, you can do literally
That to
anything.
me encourages you to have a life. And that's what I like. That's a good thing. I'll give them points for that. Cuz frankly, there are a lot of these gacha games like Genshin and what have you that encourage you to go play the game every day and do like 2 hours of shit every day, and a lot of games do that. Like Animal Crossing does it. And that's why I
Mhm.
don't play Animal Crossing. It's a lot of tedium and you have to do it every
Mhm.
day, and if you fail a day, you miss up or lose out on the battle pass or a
Mhm.
prize or what have you, and it ruins your streak or what have you. And it's just
Mhm.
like, I don't see the appeal for those games because you have to play it every day in order to get a reward out of it. And
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. It's a chore. It's a chore. It's not a game. I want to play a game to enjoy it. I want to pick it up, enjoy it, put it down, play it a week later, and whatever.
Yeah.
If I have to play a game every day, that's boring. That annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Cause I have a life. I like driving places. I like playing other games. I like doing other things. I go to concerts occasionally. I go drive to cons and stuff occasionally. I go visit friends occasionally. I can't just stop everything and play a game for 2 hours a day. I don't
Mhm.
have that time. Okay? Not many of us have that time
Yeah.
to play a game 2 hours a day. Just saying. A lot of us want to play other games that don't consume that time or do other things that don't consume that time. And sometimes we just don't have the ability to manage that into a schedule because we just have too many other things to do, be it
Mhm.
job, be it anything else. I just find it very stupid that games
Mhm.
require that, and they know damn well that if someone fails, they're going to have to pay to get it back. And that's another thing I hate about like gachas and stuff like that. It's a lot of, it's free to play, sure, and you may enjoy it for the first like 10 hours or so, sure, but there's a lot of stuff that you can pay for to expedite, and that in my eyes is predatory. Now obviously it's not predatory by any legality standard. I just find it like abusive in a sense, like a domestic relationship. You gotta do this, and if you don't, then you're gonna be falling back a little bit. You gotta do this every day, or yada yada. And I'm not a huge
Mhm.
fan of that. I know a couple of you enjoy gotchas, and I'm not gonna dig at you too much for that, but I don't, because of how much of a relationship you get locked into with those games.
I find it funny that you bring up the expediting part because that is exactly what Warframe does. Is stuff may take a couple days, you can expedite it. It's never going to twist your arm to make you do it though.
Gotcha.
It's never once is there a big ad in the game saying buy platinum.
That's
Or
good.
buy the currency. Like there's never like occasionally it'll like your daily login will give you like a discount. That's all you'll see. It'll have a little tab in the corner. You can activate it.
Ninja says
Other than
actually
that,
wrong. How so? Frame slots old days. What? Frame slots old days. What does he mean by that? You used to get 0 stuff like that for longest times.
Well, yeah, that's the old game. Like sure, like in the past they had stuff. They've developed their game to be much more, useful. Like they've had like the head developers change over. Like the person who developed Warframe in 2015 is not the same person who's doing it today.
Hmm.
And they've made a lot of changes since then.
Gachas suck if you don't play. Well, that's the thing. And I don't have the time nor the attention span. Oh, if you don't pay. Well, regardless if you don't like I would get bored of a gacha 10 hours into it. Not only factoring in that, Genshin has a nasty anti-cheat and I'm fully against anti-cheats and anything else that could be spyware on my computer, even though I run Windows, but Windows 10 is heavily de-windowsed on my computer. It's just I hate dealing with that crap because not on top of all those gateways, all those gates that you have to pass for me to install it. I play it for 10 hours and get bored. And half the time it would just be sex appeal. I'm gonna be real with you. Ah, yes, big booba lady, big booba lady, big booba lady. And for some people like Kira, big man, big buff man, big buff man, big buff man. I don't know. It's a lot of sex appeal. A lot of sex appeal.
Just booba, no thighs? Like,
well,
any
thighs too. But my point is, Dale, a lot of those gachas is sex appeal.
Fair enough. I will not disagree.
I'm not trying to be mean here, but I'm not wrong. Well, still, point is, it's a lot of sex appeal. I mean, even though they're probably just twigs and not buff, but my point is, it's not appealing to me. Like, I don't want to be horny 24/7 because I play gacha game. I want to have a life,
Damn.
I'm not trying to be rude. It's just that, like, I don't want to be horny. I just want to be happy. Silence, wench. I wish not to be horny. Only wish to be happy. I'm not trying to be rude when I say that. I know that was probably misinterpreted, but like, it's just my way of saying it is just, I don't want to play horny game all the time. I want to be able to enjoy multiple games and maybe fixate on a game if I want to, like Minecraft occasionally, or, something else like Tears of the Kingdom occasionally. Like, obviously there's going to be fixations like that on an RPG, but other than that, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to, make a game psychologically encourage me to spend money on girl with big thighs and hope that I get her, and then I end up not getting her. Instead, I get a femboy or 7-foot tall man or fucking, I don't fucking know. I don't see the appeal for that. Obviously, there are a couple of you who would disagree, and whatever, you do you. It's just, I don't see the appeal in gacha.
I think the what, just based off what you said, that proves that gacha games are specifically trying to appeal to bisexuals because they have the most it covers the most ground with everyone. There you go.
Oh, you made me lose it there. I'm crying, bro. That's too funny. Man just had the coldest take on the fucking SavageCast ever. Oh my god.
I had to do it.
That is the coldest take ever, and I love it. And I don't mean that as a mean thing. That is the coldest take because it is so fucking true. It is so fucking true. He isn't wrong. Exactly. Oh my god. I'm crying, man. That was too funny. Oh my god. That was good. You got me there. You got me there. What were I completely, oh my god. You just completely shut off my brain laughing at that. What, we were talking about Gacha, right? Oh my god, dude. Dude, I can't even. That was too funny. That was too funny. Your team is all chicks? Well, obviously, Ninja, obviously. Yeah, missing the roles are heartbreaking. Well, that's the thing, is that like it makes you heartbroken and makes you want to spend money on it. And that's just like a huge no-no to me. And this is coming from someone who spent money on Candy Crush back in like 2015. Never again. I will not spend money on stupid shit like that. Yes, I was secretly a 50-year-old white woman back when I was 15 years old. I played Candy
Damn.
Crush.
Were you good at it?
Not really.
I don't think anyone's good at Candy Crush.
I just played it because my parents told me about it, and my dad played it, so I played it. But then I was like, okay, this game blows. Back to Minecraft. No, I regret spending money on that fucking game. And that game is owned by Activision, of all people, surprisingly. Not really surprisingly. King is owned by Activision, and King made Candy Crush, as well as Pop-Up Pear and a couple other games. A couple of those shitty mobile games. My team just does the funny. What do you mean by the funny? What do you mean by the funny, Meg? The funny as in the girl with the boob sword? Because I know there's one of those in Genshin.
Is the funny just a big number?
The 69. Or 69,696,969. But no, it's just that's my problem with a lot of gachas and just a lot of those games in general, a lot of free to play games in general. It's not just gacha, but it's just free to play in general. After playing them as a kid, I quickly learned that it's just not worth wasting your time on them. At least in my opinion. Mainly because I'm also a frugal bastard, and I just hate spending money on anything that I don't want to spend money on. So I just go like, okay, screw it. I'm just gonna avoid free to play forever. And I've done a good job at that. I haven't recklessly spent on any free to play game in 8 years. Needless to say, I'm good on that front, and I just want to keep it that way. So that's why I avoid free-to-play games, and that's why I hate them so. And I know some people disagree and like them, and I'm like, good for you. It's just that I, from a financially responsible standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, if I dip my toe in the water, I'm going to get addicted to them, and I don't want that. I know how addictive they are, and that's why I avoid them like the fucking plague. Just from a psychological standpoint alone, I avoid them.
Me, who is addicted to free-to-play game.
Again, everyone here is proving my point.
Yeah, I'm so addicted, like I literally just like have calculators, like I have all the sites on my hotbar, like I'm the wiki and all that crap, you know, I'm addicted.
That's funny.
I'll admit it.
That reminds me of D&D. I have like 3 bookmarks for D&D. Actually, no, like 4 or so. Like I have an index for 5e. I have like Roll20 and D&D Beyond bookmarks, but I haven't played D&D in like a year. So those bookmarks have just sat there and rotted. Even though I'd love to play the game again. It's just that finding the right people for that game is tough. That's another problem with like multiplayer games. Not only like Minecraft and stuff, but like Gmod as well as D&D and stuff like that. You gotta find the right people to play with. And sometimes it's easy for like Gmod and stuff, but sometimes it's hard for like D&D because you gotta have the right personalities, you gotta have good creativity, you gotta have other stuff like that. And that's a problem with D&D especially, because D&D is all about creativity. You yourself have to be creative, and I'm not. And I am, even though I like to say I'm not. But you yourself have to be creative, and you have to have people, especially the DM, as creative as well. Because if the DM isn't creative, you're gonna have a boring ass campaign, and it's gonna suck ass.
Well, on the topic of D&D, like D&D, no matter which edition you take, is in its essence a bad game that takes people to that has a lot of room to be elevated. It has a
That is
high
true.
ceiling, but a really low floor.
That's that's also like part of the problem with D&D is that, like, again, you got to have the right people to make it fun.
Yeah,
If you
it can
play
have
with
a
if you play
terrible
with Joe Schmo, you're gonna never want to play D&D again. I gave
Yeah.
D&D a chance with a friend, and I was like, okay, I'll learn it. You can teach me. And he was very patient, very kind. He invited me to a couple one-shots with friends, and I was like, okay, this is fun. I plan to do this again. Put me on your short list of people to play one-shots with. And he did. And we had a good time. Unfortunately, he doesn't play anymore because he's a busy man. But there's another guy who put me into his one D&D campaign as well as battle royales, and I was pretty good at the battle royales. I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the combat part. It's just that unfortunately with the combat part, you don't have the speech part, the exploration part, and that's what I hate about that kind of stuff is that you only get to use your character once. And you only get to combat. You don't get to use your character for like social events or stuff like that. You don't get to do stupid shit like that, and that's what kind of blows in that aspect. Because the half the part of D&D is just fucking around and finding out, and you can't really do that in combat. I mean, you can if there's like a bomb barrel or something, but if there's or if there's traps or something. But when it comes to the social part of D&D, that's fun in its own aspect. It's just that unfortunately can't really do that in a one shot. And I mean you can, but you can't do it as much, and you can't really do it in a battle royale kind of focus. Favorite game I ever DM'd for in D&D was the game I sent my party to find an ancient apple recipe. They probably want to kill you after that. That's hilarious. They're like, bro, what the fuck? It's like helping out a granny find an ancient apple recipe. Apple pie recipe.
Okay, talking about apple pie. What do you put on your apple pie when you get it? Like,
what if I told you I don't eat apple pie?
You don't eat apple pie?
No.
Okay.
Well, I was helping out an old wizard, actually. Oh, that's funny.
I'm just, I guess I'll go fuck myself.
I don't eat pie, I eat cake.
Fair enough. I'm just being dramatic.
I like chocolate, I like marble, and I like vanilla cake.
Vanilla cake's okay.
Vanilla's okay because it's universal, but chocolate and marble is pretty good. I actually had marble cake relatively recently, and that shit was fire.
Cornbread is just cake, but better. I mean,
anyone here know how to animate emotes? I don't know, actually, off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure if you ask, someone could help you. I'm pretty sure there's websites, too, that could help you out with that. You just have to find the right one. You eat pumpkin pie? Okay, that's a lie. I do eat pumpkin pie as well, but very rarely. And I only usually eat it around this time of year, usually on Thanksgiving, and that's it. I eat it once in Thanksgiving and then never have it again until next year.
I like yellow squash pie a little bit more than pumpkin pie.
That's interesting.
Well, I mean, most of the time when you get, well, first off, pumpkin is a squash, but
yeah,
yellow squash tend to be a little sweeter than a pumpkin.
Gotcha.
So you can get a more desirable flavor for a dessert out of a
cheesecake and pumpkin pie are the best. Cheesecake is okay. Cheesecake is okay. It's not amazing. It has an acquired taste to it. That's just my opinion, though.
I think I used to hate apple pie, but then apple pie with cheddar cheese is a different game.
What the hell?
Yeah, I put
that sounds wild.
Put cheddar cheese on my apple pie,
that
and I
sounds
melt it on
absolutely
there.
wild.
It's really good. It adds like a little bit of saltiness to it. So you got the sweet pie, and then there's this like salty, like almost creamy like cheddar cheese on top. It's melted, not so it's soft. It's melted so it's crispy.
Okay. Yeah, cheddar cheese. It sounds pretty good.
It's worth trying if you like apple pie, but if you don't, you probably won't like it because it's still apple pie.
All right. I love how we've gone from talking about how gachas appeal to the bisexual fantasy to fucking pie. Fucking only Dale could do that shit. Only fucking Dale. Like
I'm really glad that I brought that up.
only fucking Dale could do that shit. It's like that meme of that like feminist girl who's like, this is why I hate video games. It appeals to the male fantasy, and it's just like, this is why I hate video games. It appeals to the bisexual fantasy, and it just has like really hot women and really hot men like right next to each other.
This is why I hate gacha games. It appeals to the bisexual fantasy.
Just someone needs to Photoshop that meme to just have that. That would be hilarious.
I will. I'll get working. I'm actually gonna write it down.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. I can't get over that, dude. That's gonna be like forever remembered. I'm gonna actually let me quote that. What did you say exactly? What was it?
I don't even remember at this point. I don't remember the exact words. You'd have to go back and look. I stumbled over my words a little bit, so it's probably best that we don't remember.
I'm just gonna put that in and then edit it if we ever need to change it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Quote 1008. You're welcome.
Love it.
All right. Anything else anyone wants to talk about other than gacha and I guess other faults in the video game industry? Anything any other genres we want to talk about actually? Like the action adventure genre being overinflated and just it needs to be broken down.
Yeah.
Action adventure could literally be fucking anything. Shooter, action adventure.
Exactly.
RPG, action adventure. Puzzle game, action adventure. Bro, everything's fucking action adventure. It's a video game.
Action
Unless you're
adventure
watching
could-
paint dry, it's not. If you're watching
Yeah.
paint dry, it's not action adventure. But like, bro, it's such an oversaturated genre just because of how broad it is.
Mhm.
Like, it's like, oh, it's not this action adventure. I just feel like it's very broad and very annoying that people go like, oh yeah, it's just another action adventure game. Well, can we stop calling it action adventure and actually give it a proper genre? Like, I don't know, Metroidvania or shooter or RPG or JRPG or WRPG, depending on the RPG type. Because yeah, there are subgenres for RPG now.
Action puzzle shooter. I don't know.
Yeah, like they could even just say that, like, it's an action puzzle shooter. That makes sense. Like, isn't that what Ultra Kill essentially is? Just an action puzzle shooter?
I was joking, but I guess that'll work
No,
out.
you're not wrong. That is an actual trope that does exist.
Okay.
Yeah, defining genres would be like a really good thing, and it's starting to piss me off when developers are just like, it's another action adventure game, yada yada. It's a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Ultra Kill is more of a boomer shooter. Yeah, no, you're right about that. It is more of a boomer shooter. I will agree with that. And boomer shooters aren't really a bad thing. I like them. I think they're cool. But I'm also bad at them. I like them. I'm bad at them. But yeah, boomer shooters like even Doom 16 was pretty good. I would say Doom 16 is a great game. Better than Eternal in my opinion. And that might just be because it's easier or it's less balanced and the Gauss cannon is broken as fuck, but I just like it more than Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal just has a lot of artificial limitations to it in my opinion. And there's a lot of like, you have to switch between weapons. Meanwhile, in Doom 16, you don't have to switch between weapons. You can just, I guess, focus with one weapon. You can beat the game with any weapon in Doom 16. You can beat the game with a fucking pistol if you wanted to. Doom Eternal, you can't really do that. You have to use your entire arsenal if you want to, win, which I think is dumb. I just liked the the ability to, use whatever weapon you wanted to in 16 more than Eternal. You love them. Have you played My House? The WAD for My House. That's literally what it's called, by the way. If you haven't, you should play it. I've heard it's really trippy. I've actually seen gameplay of it, and it's really trippy. You have? Okay. Isn't it really weird? John Carmack, I believe is his name. one of the engineers for the id's engine actually played it on live on stream once, and he was like creeped the fuck out by it. He loved it. I highly recommend you play it yourself if you haven't seen a full playthrough. I glossed over it. I glossed over his playthrough of it. I didn't see the whole thing. I'll probably just watch it because I'm bad at video games. But I'll probably watch it and get tripped out by it. But basically, all I know is that for the most part, it's the same exact house, and it's very Euclidean in that sense. It's the same exact house, just with minor changes in some place. But yeah, anything else we want to talk about, Dale? Any other questions you have for me or for the chat or anyone else?
I personally don't have any. I think we covered a lot of what we wanted to cover.
That's good. Well, should we end off? We have been going for almost 2.25 hours now. I would say that would be a good time to wind down, in my opinion.
I agree. Also, I just dropped my last pen, so that's a great time.
That's a great... that means it's time to end it. It's time to end it. All right. Hey, thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate it. This is my buddy. He used to be called Spicelord Dale and then Rockhawk fan. But this is my buddy Dale. He's a really cool guy. Basically, he's over here, on my screen. But he's a cool guy. You don't stream at all, do you? I don't think you do.
Not yet.
Not yet, but he plans to soon.
I'll get roped into it eventually.
Really cool guy. You should give him a I'll give you a shout out. Give me a second. Iron Defense Dale. What games do you plan on playing?
Honestly, probably Warframe.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, go give Dale a follow.
Safe bet for
really
that.
Really cool guy. He'll probably be streaming soon, hopefully. I'd like to hope. As you said, you'll probably be doing some Warframe. But I'd like to hope you'd be doing some Pokemon as well, maybe some Nuzlocke or something. I feel like you could definitely do that.
I'd have to emulate it, but definitely I would love to do that.
I can help you out with that. Hell, Sean can help you out with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I will gladly help you out with that. If you want any help with emulation or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd love that.
But yeah, go give him a follow if you haven't already. He's a really cool guy, and he'll be streaming soon. Really good dude. I've been friends with him for like 3 years. But yeah, I would love to hear more from you, Dale. I love hanging out with you. You're great. You have a great fucking personality, and I love your sense of humor. You definitely hit a highlight tonight with that with that fucking quote.
I'm very glad that
if that doesn't get clipped, I'll be severely disappointed because I just fucking lost it with that, dude. I fucking lost it. I need to get that clipped, and then I need to splice in that like feminist girl that's like, I hate video games because it appeals to the male fantasy, but with that like voice dubbed over it. I need that so badly in my life. You don't know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate it. Dale, thank you so much for being such a great guest. I love the amount of chats we had. And next guest is probably going to be Meg, also known as Rolling Art. We'll probably be having some chats about whatever she wants to talk about and what I want to talk about. But yeah, thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget that there will be JSIC Box later tonight. You all take care. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.